and welcome back everyone to Tinny Poi Actual Speaking. My name is Jennifer Clyde. It is already time for lesson 40. We've come a long way, so hang in there everyone. Now today's topic is your bucket list, or basically the bucket list. Do you know what a bucket list is? It is basically a list of things you want to do before you kick the bucket, meaning before you die. I'm just wondering if you watched the 2008 movie by Rob Reiner, and it was called The Bucket List, starring Jack Nicholson and even Morgan Freeman. Now these two men in the movie are two terminally ill men, and they decide to do things that they want to do before they die, so they go on a road trip. Some of the things that they wanted to do were race cars, eat giant plates of caviar, even help a stranger, a complete stranger. What else did they want to do? Laugh till they cried, and also kiss the most beautiful girl in the world. But of course, they were not able to fulfill all of the desires before they actually passed away. So, do you have a bucket list? Now, what are the things listed on your bucket list? Now, if you're ready to create your bucket list, you can create a bucket list as perhaps a blueprint of your ideal life. And what you can do is turn it into reality. So, Helen Keller once even said, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. And I would say I kind of agree with it. So, are you ready? Today, let's talk about the bucket list. Okay, welcome back everyone. Are you ready to begin with our warm-up segment? First of all, just in case you are still confused about our topic for today, it is called the bucket list. Now, we often say kick the bucket, which means to die, and a bucket list is a list of things that you want to do before you die. So, for example, you can ask yourself, what are the things you want to do before you kick the bucket, or before you leave Earth, I guess. 다른 세상, 저 세상으로 가기 전에 꼭 하고 싶은 것들, 꼭 해보고 싶은 것들을 쭉 나열하는 것이 바로 bucket list입니다. So keep that in mind, and let's begin. Okay, with the 5 W's and how questions. First of all, we've got the who question. So, who have you shared your bucket list with? This is if you have a bucket list. Now, if you don't have a bucket list, imagine that you do have one. At least a list of 3 things to do before you kick the bucket, okay? Another one, who would you like to do the things on your bucket list with? So would it be a friend, would it be a family member, or would it be just on your own? Now in the movie, we had Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson do the things on their bucket list together. They went on a road trip, right? Let's move on to our what question. What made you write a bucket list? If you watched the movie, did that movie make you write a bucket list? Or did you one day just sit there and think, I want to write down the things I want to do before I die? So talk about the reason as to why you wrote or created a bucket list. Moving on, what are some of your lifelong wishes? This is something you can talk about. We all know what a wish is. A wish is something that you really, really desire to do, really hope to do. And a lifelong wish would be lifelong, meaning continuing for a long time. Lifelong wishes. So think about some of your lifelong wishes. And what are some of your biggest regrets in life? That's right. Having regrets is the most terrible thing, I think, okay? But we can learn from our mistakes. Now, the thing is, think about some of your biggest regrets in life. You could turn it around and perhaps make it become a reality by not doing the same thing over again, right? Another one, what are your fears in life? Perhaps you could be very adventurous and just go for it, right? If you fear doing something, why not? Well, challenge your fear. Do something about it. Fight that fear. Another one, what are your immediate needs? Needs are the things you need, right? Okay, but immediate means what? Now. So what are your immediate needs? Meaning, what are the things that you need right now? The things you need to do right now. Think about those things. And moving on to our next what question is, what are you doing right now to work towards achieving your life goals? What are you doing now to achieve or make these life goals come true? To fulfill them, what are you doing? Also, what kinds of adventures would you like to go on? Now, adventures. I'll be telling you about a few adventures that I would like to go on. So think about the adventures, okay? Activities, things you want to do, okay? Also, when? When do you plan to start fulfilling your desires in life? If you have not done so yet, if you have just been writing them down, think about when you plan to start doing things about it. And also, when did you start writing or adding onto your bucket list? Okay, these questions are quite simple. Once again, we are talking about the things we want to do before we die, okay? Also, where have you always wanted to go or travel? I'm sure there are places around the world or even within the country that you really want to go to. So think about the places that you have always wanted to go or travel, okay? Places you've wanted to go for a long time. Now, why do you think it is important to create a life list? I'll help you with that too. Now, if someone were to ask you, why do you think a bucket list is important? Why do you think people should have a bucket list? You should be able to answer that question and think about this question in order to help you answer that question much more easily. And finally, onto our how category. How badly, okay? How badly do you want to accomplish the things on your list? Do you want it really badly, or does it not really matter, okay? Let's move on. Now, how will a life list, once again, a bucket list or a life list help you to transform your daydreams into goals you can accomplish? Okay, so once again, we are talking about the importance of a life plan or even a life list or a bucket list. So how will a list like this help you transform your daydreams? What are daydreams? Okay, we of course dream at night when we are asleep. Daydreams are fantasies we have when we are awake. So these fantasy thoughts we think of when we're awake, okay? So how will the list help you transform your dreams into reality? And one last one, how many times have you said to yourself, if only? I think this is a very good question for you all to ask yourselves. I sat down and asked myself, if only, if only. And I think I've asked myself this question so many times, actually too many times. So an author even said once, there is an author named Mercedes Lackey. Now she writes fantasy stories, and she said, if only. Those must be the saddest words in the world. And I do kind of agree with her. So how many times have you said to yourself, if only? 만약에. So how many times did you ask yourself that question? Okay, we all want to live life without regrets, right? Okay, we're done brainstorming our cues together. Work more on them on your own.
So Rachel, a friend of mine was talking about her bucket list.
The bucket list.
Yeah, and that's the things you want to do before you kick the bucket, before you take a final bow, pass away.
Right.
And she had this long list of things she still wanted to do, and I started thinking about it, and I really didn't have one because I've been doing it my whole life.
You're one of the lucky ones.
Well, I've been lucky. I've been able to travel and do things because my writing affords me those opportunities.
That's awesome.
Do you have a bucket list?
For me, I haven't actually sat down and wrote down a list of things I want to do before I hit the grave or whatever. But You know, for the longest time, I always wanted to play the trumpet.
Right.
Yeah, when I was younger, my really good friend in middle school played the trumpet, and I wanted to play the trumpet too, but my parents wanted me to play the violin and the piano, which is what I had to do.
Oh, so you learned those?
I did learn them, but deep down in my heart, I wanted to learn the trumpet.
Well, you could do that today.
I think so. I guess that would be one of the things on my bucket list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the sooner the better. You should get started.
I should, huh? But you said you've already done some things on your bucket list. What have you done?
I've lived every day like that.
Wow.
You know, whether it's, you know, running across the Sahara Desert or
Wow.
you know, doing things in different countries, traveling, hiking through the Himalayas. I just, when I get the idea in my head, I don't put it on a list. I just go and do it.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, I'm lucky I've got a lot of those things out of my way, and now I can focus just on my family. And, you know, my new bucket list is more about watching my kids grow up and sending them off to college and things like that.
I think that's a great new bucket list.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you enjoy today's actual talk between Peter and Rachel? Now, pretty simple, our actual talk was today. Now, what did Rachel say? She said that she has always wanted to learn the trumpet, so perhaps that would be something she would add on to her bucket list. And as for Peter, he said that he's pretty much done everything that he's wanted to do because he doesn't think about it. Boom, if he thinks he wants to do something, he goes ahead and does it right away. But now, if he were to make a new bucket list, it would be full of things that he would do with his family, his wife, and his two wonderful sons. Let's take a look at what they said line by line. Now, Peter began by saying, a friend of mine was talking about her bucket list. So Peter is talking about a friend of his, how she talked about her bucket list. And of course, he says, those are the things you want to do before you kick the bucket. Okay, kick the bucket, here we are. Now, they say that the origin of kick the bucket, there are several of them. People have different definitions for this. Actually, not different definitions, but they think that the expression actually comes from different places. Perhaps one of them has to do with animals. When animals were slaughtered a long, long time ago, they were hung backwards on a crate or something, and when they were slaughtered, they would kick the bucket, which means to die. Or even when people were hanged, right? It was a way of punishing people. If they committed a crime and they were hanged, they would be hanged, and they would kick the bucket when they were hanged. I know it's kind of scary, but that's what people say that the origin of this expression actually is. Anyhow, some other ways of saying kick the bucket or simply to die is before you take a final bow, and pass away or pass on is another way of saying die. Now, die seems or sounds kind of too harsh, so you can use different expressions such as kick the bucket, before you take a final bow, pass away, pass on. So he's telling Rachel about the definition of the bucket list. Let's move on. Now he says, and she had this long list, meaning she had many things on her list that she wanted to do. So I started thinking about it, and I really didn't have one because, all right, I've been doing it my whole life. So basically he's saying, I don't have a bucket list. There is no need for me to write a bucket list because I've been doing it. All the things that I wanted to do my entire life, my whole life. And she says, you're one of those lucky ones, meaning you're a lucky person. I've been lucky, he says. I've been able to travel and do things because my writing affords me those opportunities. Now, when we say afford, what instantly comes to mind? You might think afford, affordable, meaning having money, right? But of course, in this situation, he's saying my writing, my job, for example, lets me enjoy those opportunities. So simply put, he's saying I have been able to travel and do a lot of things thanks to my writing job. I was able to do these things and travel because I have a writing job, okay? Now, he asked, do you have a bucket list? Let's check out what Rachel said. I haven't actually sat down and written down a list of things I want to do before I hit the grave. Now, this is not a very common expression, but I think she said it to actually mean die, of course, hit the grave. But she says, for the longest time, for a very, very long time, I've always wanted to play the trumpet. So if you want to talk about something that you have wanted to do ever since a long time ago, perhaps since your teenage years or since you were in elementary school, you can say, I have always wanted to do something, which means you've wanted to do that for a very, very long time, ever since a long time ago. So she says, my friend in middle school played the trumpet. So her friend in middle school played the trumpet, and I wanted to play the trumpet too. But what was the problem? My parents, wanted me to play the violin. The IV should be omitted. They wanted me to play the violin and the piano, which was what I had to do. Oftentimes when you're young, you want to do something, you want to learn something, you want to take lessons, but then again, your parents say, no, not that. You're not going to do that, you're going to do this. So I guess her parents told her, no, honey, you're not going to learn the trumpet, you have to learn the violin and the piano. So that is what she did. So, of course, she's talking about learning those two instruments. Now, she says, I did learn them, the violin and the piano, but deep down in my heart, I wanted to learn the trumpet. Now, let's take a look at this expression here, deep down in my heart. Deep down in my heart. It means truly, in reality, truly, I wanted to do this. So deep down in my heart, I've always wanted to learn the trumpet. And he says, well, you can do that today. Now, this expression, he is not saying you can do that today, now. It's not He's saying, well, right now, it's not too late. You can do that today. You can start tomorrow. You can start the day after tomorrow, even a month later. He's just saying it is not too late to start. You can say, you can do that today. Now, she says, I think so. I guess that would be one of the things on my bucket list. So Rachel, of course, she talks about how she would include learning the trumpet on her list, of course, which would be the bucket list. He says, the sooner the better. Don't wait. The sooner the better. If you want to learn, and if you decide to learn the trumpet as soon as possible. The sooner the better. You should get started. And Rachel says, I should, huh? But you said you've already done some of the things on your bucket list. And then she asks, what have you done? So let's quickly take a look at what Peter said. He says, I've lived every day like that. So he's saying, I've lived every day with adventures, doing things that I wanted to do. Whether it's running across the Sahara Desert, I wish I had a chance to go there, or doing things in different countries, traveling, hiking through the Himalayas. And he says, when I get the idea in my head, now, I don't put it on a list. Simply put, when he gets an idea, when he thinks of something and he wants to do something, he doesn't write it down. He doesn't put it on a list. What does he do? He said, I just go and do it. I don't think about it. I don't write about it. I just go out and do it. I do it. And of course, Rachel says, that's amazing. Okay, and let's move on. So he says, I'm lucky. I've got a lot of those things out of my way. To get something out of your way means to get it done, to finish it, to complete it, okay? Make it become a reality. And he says, now, I can focus just on my family, only on my family. And my new bucket list is more about watching my kids grow up, okay, and sending them off to college and things like that. So he has so far talked about things that he did in life. He has lived every day like a dream, right? Doing everything he wanted to do. So now he's saying my new bucket list is more about, it's more focused on family. It's about seeing my kids grow up, watching them grow older and older, and sending them off to college, meaning, yeah, seeing them go to college. So this perhaps is what he wants now. This is what he would include on his new bucket list. Okay, well that brings us to an end to the conversation. Take a listen to it one more time and also read along. The subtitles are going to be there for you.
So Rachel, a friend of mine was talking about her bucket list.
The bucket list.
Yeah, and that's the things you want to do before you kick the bucket, before you take a final bow,
Right.
pass away.
Right.
And she had this long list of things she still wanted to do, and I started thinking about it, and I really didn't have one because
Really?
I've been doing it my whole life.
You're one of the lucky ones.
Well,
You're
I've been lucky.
awesome.
I've been able to travel and do things because my writing affords me those opportunities.
That's awesome.
Do you have a bucket list?
For me, I haven't actually sat down and wrote down a list of things I want to do before I hit the grave or whatever. But for the longest time, I always wanted to play the trumpet.
Right.
Yeah, when I was younger, my really good friend in middle school played the trumpet, and I wanted to play the trumpet too. But my parents wanted me to play the violin and the piano, which is what I had to do.
Oh, so you learned those?
I did learn them, but deep down in my heart, I wanted to learn the trumpet.
Well, you can do that today.
I think so. I guess that would be one of the things on my bucket list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the sooner the better. You should get started.
I should, huh? But you said you've already done some things on your bucket list. What have you done?
I've lived every day like that.
Wow.
Whether it's running across the Sahara Desert or
Wow.
doing things in different countries, traveling, hiking through the Himalayas. I just when I get the idea in my head, I don't put it on a list. I just go and do it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I'm lucky. I've got a lot of those things out of my way, and now I can focus just on my family. And my new bucket list is more about watching my kids grow up and sending them off to college and things like that.
I think that's a great new bucket list.
Yeah.
Now it's time for us to learn some actual talk expressions. Are you ready? Today we are talking about the bucket list. Perhaps you can think about what you would write on your list, on your bucket list. Now, as I did remind you or tell you that I would tell you about the things that I want to do before I kick the bucket, here are some things or examples you can use. Now, keep in mind the pattern. You can make use of it in the future when you talk about your bucket list. So, here are ways to talk about the things you want to do before you go, meaning before you die, kick the bucket, pass away, pass on, right? So, you can say, I want to go on a daring adventure before I kick the bucket. Now keep this pattern in mind. It's going to be repeated over and over again. Now remember to talk about what you want to do. So I want to go on a daring adventure. This is what I want to do. A daring actually means, could be dangerous, but it means adventurous. So I would like to go on a daring, adventurous adventure before I kick the bucket, before I die. Another one, I want to swim with dolphins before my number is up. This is another way of saying before I die. Now, before my number is up, the number here, okay, it represents your age. So when your number is up means when you die. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, I want to swim with dolphins. I really, really do. Before my number is up. Okay, let's check out a few more. I hope to go heli skydiving before I go 6 feet under. This is another way of saying before I pass away. Now, if you say somebody is 6 feet under, you are saying that that person has already passed away. That person is buried 6 feet under. Okay, so before I go 6 feet under means before I pass away, before I kick the bucket, before I die. So I hope to go heli skydiving. You all know what skydiving is, right? Heli skydiving is basically skydiving from a helicopter. Another one, before I bite the dust. Let's bring the pattern to the beginning, okay? It can come at the beginning of a sentence or at the end as well. So another way of saying before I die is before I bite the dust. I hope to accomplish so many unfulfilled desires. So fulfill means to achieve, to accomplish, right? But it's unfulfilled, so these are things that were not achieved, things you were not able to accomplish. So before I bite the dust. One more time. Before I bite the dust, I want to, or I hope to do something. All right, now here we go. Before I bite the dust, I hope to hear Andrea Bocelli sing opera in Milan. This is also something that I would love to do before I bite the dust. So keep in mind, these expressions, before I die, or these similar expressions, can come at the beginning of a sentence or at the very end of a sentence, all right? Okay, and another one, before I breathe my last. You don't have to say breath, but basically means before I breathe my last breath, meaning before I die, I want to race a sports car. Also something that I would want to do before I die. So these are some things, these are actually my examples, things that are on my bucket list. So create your bucket list using these patterns and these expressions, okay? So keep them in mind, go over them on your own. Let's move on to ways to talk about what you've wanted to do for a long, long time, okay? Ever since you were young, for example. Now, deep down in my heart, this is what Rachel said, right? Deep down in my heart, okay? This thought or feeling, this idea is somewhere in your heart. It's been there for a long time. I've always wanted to learn the trumpet. This is exactly what Rachel said. Another one, it's been my lifelong wish to go backpacking around Europe. So once again, we're talking about what you have wanted to do for a long, long time. It's been my lifelong wish. Lifelong meaning continuous. A wish you had for a long, long time. Also, for the longest time. For the longest time, I wanted to go on a Kenyan safari. So keep in mind, for the longest time, ever since a long time ago, you wanted to do this, okay? Let's move on quickly to our last category of expressions. Now this time, let's talk about the benefits of creating a life list. Remember, as we were brainstorming cues, I did say we were gonna go over the benefits of having a bucket list. So if somebody were to ask you, why do you think it is good or important to have a bucket list, you could answer like this. For example, having a bucket list will have a greater positive impact on your happiness. What is an impact? Okay, it could be, of course, a big hit, a very, very powerful hit. But of course, in this situation, it means an effect. So having a bucket list will have a greater positive effect, a greater positive impact on your happiness. So it will help you become happy, okay? Another one, having a bucket list is a mechanism for leading a no regrets life. A mechanism, basically, you might think of a machine or a device, but think of it as a tool, something that can help you, okay? It's like an unconscious mental pattern that you always keep in mind. So having a bucket list is a tool, it is a device, it is something for leading a no regrets life. Now, life we all know, what is a no regrets life? It is basically life without regrets, okay? So no regrets life. And also, creating a life list and working towards achieving it gives you a sense of self-responsibility. So basically, self-responsibility is responsibility of your own, okay? The responsibility that you feel, okay? And then moving on, creating a life list will allow you to form a clear vision of what you want from life. So a clear vision here, it does not mean that you can see well. We're not talking about eyesight. A clear vision of something basically is a clear concept of something. So by having a life list, you will have a clear concept or an idea or a vision of what you really want in life. Okay? So that brings us to an end to all the example sentences we have and our actual talk expressions. Practice them on your own a bit more. Okay, everyone, it is time for us to kind of take a breather. Now, kick back, relax your shoulders and your legs, and just, have your ears open up and listen closely. Today's idiom is be dead set against someone or something. Now, we do have the harsh word once again, dead. But then again, it has nothing to do with death. Okay, one more time, to be dead set against someone or something. Here is a sample sentence. My parents were dead set against my studying in the States. My parents were dead set against my studying in the States. Another example is, okay, similar, meaning I wanted to study in the States, but my parents were dead set against it. Got it? Okay, so basically these two sentences mean the same thing. They were dead set against something. Let's check out what it means. In Korean, 단호하게 반대하다. 단호하게 반대하다. So it means to completely oppose to someone or even something, be against it. No, never. Okay, here is another sample sentence. My family was dead set against my boyfriend, so we eventually broke up. My parents were dead set against my boyfriend, so we eventually broke up. I think a lot of parents often are dead set against your partner, the person you want to marry, because of whatever reasons, but they can be against something completely, no matter what, and in that situation you can say he or she is dead set against something or someone. Okay, that is all for today's idiom attack, everyone. Let's move on.
What are some things you would like to do before you kick the bucket? Talk about a list of your life goals. Give as much detail about how you'd like to live your dream and find joy in your life.
There are 3 things I like to do before I kick the bucket. First of all, I'm really into Chinese culture, so someday I would like to move to China and learn the language and make some Chinese friends and see how things are going on in China. And second, I would like to learn how to ride a bicycle because it looks really exciting when my friends are doing it, but I don't know how to do it right now, so I really want to learn how to do it. And last but not least, I love taking photos of my friends and my family. So someday I like to make a photo book of my family and my friends, also myself and my puppy. So someday I look at the book and say like, oh, it was good memories and things like that. So those are the things I like to achieve in my life.
And that was our actual interview for today's lesson. 최다희님, 고맙습니다. Thank you for the wonderful interview. Now, she did mention 3 things on her bucket list. She mentioned 3 things she wanted to do before she kicked the bucket. So let's take a look. Oh, first of all, just in case the order almost always is kind of not in the correct order. So she said that she wanted to go to China, learn its customs, also meet friends. Another one of her wishes or things she wanted to do was what? Learn how to ride a bike. And last but not least, she did mention something about maybe creating or putting together a photo book. So let's take a look at it together. Some great points. She mentioned in the interview, she said there are 3 things I'd like to do before I kick the bucket. Wonderful. See, we did practice this pattern before I kick the bucket, and then what you do is before that, you talk about what you want to do or what there are on your list of things to do, on your bucket list. She says there are 3 things I'd like to do before I kick the bucket. Great job. Another one is, first of all, now she's talking about the things in order. A great way, a wonderful way to start if you have more than one thing to mention. So first of all, I'm really into Chinese culture. Into meaning very interested in Chinese culture. So someday, one day in the future, I would like to what? Move to China and learn the language and make some Chinese friends. So wonderful structure, and it's a great sentence with a lot of information. So she says, first of all, okay, I want to do this, this, and this. Okay, super job. Okay, and another one is, I love taking photos of my friends and my family. She's talking about what she enjoys. I love taking photos. So she says, so someday, so one day in the future, I would like to make a photo book of my family and my friends and also of myself and my puppy. So this may look like the same pattern, but it's wonderfully put together. She says, I love doing something, so someday I hope to, or I would like to do something. So wonderful job there with those 2 sentences. Let's move on to some tiny mistakes she made, okay? I don't know how to do it. Do it. You may be confused if you did not listen carefully. What is do it? What is it right now? So I really want to learn how to do it once again. So if you were not listening carefully to what she said in the interview, you may be confused. What is it? What is it? Try to make it clear. So you could say, I don't know how to ride a bike in place of it right now, so I really want to learn how to ride a bike. You could omit this part or include it in the sentence. Now, you said it first in the beginning, so you don't have to repeat it once again, but keep in mind, at least mention what you want to learn or what you are interested in, okay? Another oopsie is, so someday, I'll look at the book and say, oh, it was good memories. It may look okay, but let's make a few slight changes. So one day or so someday, I could look at the book, okay? I could. There is a possibility. You could look at the book and say, oh, these are good memories, or those were the good days. So you're thinking about what could happen in the future. You'll open up the photo book and say, oh, yeah, those were the good days. These are some good memories. Okay, job well done. 2 thumbs up to you, and well, that is it for today's actual interview. It is already time for us to say goodbye, and I do want to take a moment to say I'm sorry if I mentioned the word to die too many times, but that was our topic, so I ask for your understanding. Now, I did want to mention, if you don't want to have any regrets on your deathbed, face your fears. Don't be afraid. Face your fears and do what you've always wanted to do, because after all, people say it's not fear, okay? It's not death that we fear, but it's actually getting to the end with regrets. So make or create a life list, and also make a better life for yourself. Make those wishes and hopes become a reality, and make sure you don't have all those if-onlys in life. Okay, I do have a list of things for your bucket list, some ideas, some examples on our homepage with our script, so please do check it out. So there are some tips as to how to live your life best. Next time, we'll have this topic, social sense, meaning dunchi in Korean, so please do join me for that. In the meantime, come to our homepage at www.ebse.co.kr, and I'm going to have to say goodbye for today. Thank you so much for joining me. See you again soon. Bye for now.